And we're back with Bedtime Stories, Grown-Up Edition, Concrete Jungle, Part 9. When we left off, the Queen Mother made sure that we wouldn't have to guess who's coming to Sunday dinner. Q made sure Veronica understood that he is all man. He also checked the file on that vehicle that was following Veronica. Regina and Angela had a girls' night in where Regina tapped out and Angela stayed up reading Q's letter. The following morning, she left Regina reading the letter, and she headed to the Salvation Center of Dallas. After service, Angela stood at the church door thanking Pastor Taylor for a wonderful service and for having her speak with the ladies of his women's group over lunch. With an arm wrapped around her baby sister Stephanie, she said, "And thank you for the pleasant surprise. I was so happy to be seated next to my sister in the guest row. I pray that means that things are progressing between the two of you." Stephanie smiled and said, "They're going better than I expected." Pastor Taylor said, "Now, Steph, I thought we had worked through your whole aversion to being a first lady." Stephanie said, "Well, I still have some sins to lay aside." Angela laughed and said, "Don't we all? I'm sure Pastor Taylor here does too." Pastor Taylor said, "Indeed. But come on now, Angie. You've known me my whole life. You can call me Corey." Angela said, "Oh, I can't call you CT anymore?" Pastor Taylor, Corey, said, "Come on now, Angie. I'm a grown man. I'm sure you wouldn't want me calling you Little Angie." They all laughed, and Angela said, "Oh, no, please do not do that." "Listen, I have to go. It was wonderful seeing you all. Again, the service was wonderful, but I really have to go. So I'll be in touch, and we'll get together when I'm back in Dallas in a few weeks." Angela and Pastor Taylor hugged, and Stephanie walked Angela to the rental car. Stephanie asked Angela, "So, what do you think of the ladies in the women's group?" Angela said, "They seem to be a very complex group of women, all of whom have survived and are trying to live through some difficult life journeys. While all of their stories are very different, their path to healing is going to be exactly the same. Forgiveness, peace, and love." Stephanie said, Right. What do you think of that one lady from Georgia? You know, she lived in North Carolina. Apparently, she cheated on her college sweetheart/fiance with his boss the night before their wedding." Before Stephanie could continue, Angela cut her off and said, "Oh no, baby sis, don't do that. What those women share in group is confidential. And even if I do end up leading the group, everything that I learn about each woman should come from them. They should share their stories in their own time. When and if they're ready, please tell me you're not going around telling these women's business." Stephanie said, "Of course not. I was only about to tell you because you're my sister, and I figured you'd want to know. Plus, her backstory is about as wild as yours is." Both women laughed and hugged one another, and Angela got in the car. Rolling down the window, she looked at her sister and asked, "So, what's good with you and CT? I mean, Corey?" Stephanie said, "I'm really feeling him. I just have a problem with the possibility of being a first lady and this whole abstinence thing." Angela said, "What?" Stephanie said, "I mean, like, what if we wait until we get married and he's a itty bitty?" Angela just bust out laughing. Stephanie said, "No, I'm serious. Or what if he doesn't know what to do?" Angela said, "Steph, listen to me, baby sis. You can abstain and still find out what you need to know. Believe me, I waited until marriage with Marcus, and I was not disappointed. At least not in that arena." Angela just fell out laughing and said, "Girl, call me so we can have a powwow. I'll give you some tips for how to find out what you want to know and remain abstinent at the same time. Thanks for the pleasant surprise, and I love you." Stephanie said, "I love you too, girl, and I'm glad somebody gonna tell me something, 'cause honey, and by the way, sis, you look absolutely stunning. I have never seen you dressed in a way that accentuates your shape. It's like you're coming out of your shell." Angela said, "Thanks, sis. Regina hired me this virtual stylist, and she's been helping me pick out a few pieces to complement things that I already have, because I'm not really ready for a complete wardrobe change. Like, I still want to be me, but I do want to, spice it up a little." Stephanie said, "Well, you go, girl. I saw that fine Deacon Davis checking you out and chatting you up in the buffet line. From what I've seen and heard, he's a good brother." Angela said while driving off. Well, time will tell. Angela headed back to the hotel, picked Regina up from the hotel lounge, and the two women hit the road back to Houston. Meanwhile, Veronica was on the phone with Tracy. Tracy, all I have in this closet is business clothes and hot girl-ish. I don't have any the girl you take home to meet your mama clothes, okay? Tracy said, Veronica, just wear something that you will wear to church. Veronica said, girl, I have not been to church since I moved out of my mama's house. I don't have church clothes. Tracy said, seriously? Veronica said, seriously. Tracy said, okay, well, what do you wear when you're trying to get an older client to sign on and you take them to brunch? Veronica said, some skinny jeans, a tank top, a blazer, and some stilettos. Tracy said, okay, well, wear that, but make sure that the tank top isn't too low cut, and roll up the blazer sleeves, make sure that it covers your ample behind, and dress it up with some pearls and a cute clutch. Veronica said, good looks, friend, and hung up the phone. As she proceeded to get ready, she had Alexa play Monica Radio on Pandora, and she turned the volume up as high as it would get. She's doing everything within her power to distract herself from Travis's visit the night before. In her mind, calling the police just wasn't an option, considering that she never really said no. How do you say no to a killer who also happens to be the love of your life? Instead, she called a locksmith and had them come over immediately and change the locks on all of her doors. She quickly realized why the lights went out in the gym locker room. During Travis's breaking and entering days, him and his friend Buns used to break into people's houses using duplicates of their keys. Travis would go in their bags, make impressions of their keys, and Buns would use equipment that he had in his garage to duplicate the keys. They would go in when the people weren't home and take them for everything they had. She shook her head and wiped the tears that were flowing down her face. She couldn't even begin to understand how she fell for a criminal in the first place, or how she could still have any love for him after what he did to her last night. Veronica tried to focus her attention on preparing for dinner with the Queen Mother. She laid out a stretch gray Banana Republic blazer, a gray lace camisole bralette from Victoria's Secret, a pair of Indigo 7 skinny jeans, and a pair of Kate Croc Louboutins in blue and gray, with the matching clutch. After showering and completing her skincare routine, she meticulously applied her makeup, being sure to color correct her dark eye circles, the bruises around her neck, and the hickey right above her left breast. She used a light coverage foundation so that her freckles would still show, because seeing the admiration in Q's eyes is making her look at them a little different. Instead of applying her signature Ruby Woo lipstick by MAC, she applied a berry lip liner and a light gloss. Instead of a dramatic wing liner, she opted to let her lash extensions do all the talking. When she was finished, she was surprisingly pleased with her toned down appearance. After putting her 360 lace unit in a half up, half down with a few ringlets framing her face, she put pearl studs in her ears and a string of double-stranded pearls around her neck and a Kate Spade Pearl Monroe bracelet watch on her wrist. Veronica was slayed. As she admired herself in the mirror, she began to lament about how she got into real estate. She's always been an excellent communicator, good with numbers, passionate about design, and great at multitasking. All of which makes her not only a great real estate agent, but once her clients close on their homes, many of them contract with her to do interior design on their new homes. Whether they're designing on a budget or writing a blank check, they are always pleased, and Veronica's able to add that additional income to her bank account. She's designed model homes for builders, staged for other realtors, designed homes for NFL players, trainers, coaches, Fortune 500 CEOs, and many more. Her problem is that more often than not, she ends up sleeping with them in the bargain. So she's left with wet panties and a bigger bank account and no man to speak of. That's one of the main reasons why she started doing virtual styling on the side. Her dream is to grow her individual business and focus all of her attention on interior decorating, designing, and personal styling. She just doesn't know how to get out of real estate. Working with Tracy has been her safety net. Tracy has always been the brains behind the operation. Now, She's been really tempted to ask her newest client if she would mentor her on the business side in exchange for her styling expertise. But she's not really sure how that'll work out, considering that this new client is based in Denver, Colorado. In the midst of her thoughts, she heard her doorbell ring. She grabbed her clutch and headed for the door. When she opened it, Q was waiting on the other side. Dressed in a black Montclair monogram polo, black pants, and black on black leather and fabric Prada sneakers. Veronica once again peeped every designer, despite the fact that there wasn't any obvious exterior labeling to implicate them. She said, "Is this what you wore to church today?" Q said, "Oh no, I was suited and booted in my lemon pepper steppers." "This is how I dress after church, and it's as close as I get to dressing down, other than what I wear to the gym." Veronica laughed and said, "Me too. You have no idea how hard I had to work to find something that wasn't business attire, night out on the town, or evening wear." As they drove, Veronica noticed that Q was driving slightly erratic. He was slowing down at yellow lights and then speeding through them, making abrupt right turns, getting on and then off the highway, only to do all of that all over again. After a few minutes of this, she turned to him and said, "What is going on?" In response, Q said, "You tell me. Did you know that Travis was released from jail in Memphis? What's the nature of your relationship with him currently? And why is he following you around Dallas?"